Hello friends, it is Stasia and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be another update video. At the beginning of the year, I put out a 22 books that I want to read in 2022. So we're just gonna go over that and see what I actually read. So it's not looking good. I read 12 of the 22 books, so I have 10 unread, and at this point I'm probably not going to read it. I do have maybe 6 weeks left of the year or something. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm not going to read them because I just don't have the time or the desire to read any of these. So I will go ahead and tell you guys a little bit about the 12 books that I did read, and we'll go from there. So from the 12 books that I did read, some of them are now unhauled, so I don't have all 12. But these were all books that I owned at some point. So go ahead really quick and talk about the ones I do still have in my possession. And then we will talk about the ones that I don't own. So the first one I have here is Dead to Her by Sarah Pinborough. This has been featured in quite a few videos at this point. There is a vlog that features this book. I gave this book 2 stars. I wasn't a fan. It is currently on my Pango storefront, bookshop, whatever you want to call it, but it is listed there, so eventually I will unhaul this. If it doesn't sell by the end of the year, I'm just going to donate it. And then the next one I have is The Death of Mrs. Westaway. Okay, so I gave this 3.5 to 4 stars. I enjoyed it. I had no idea where things were going. It did keep me on my toes. The ending definitely shocked me. So overall, I did enjoy it. Still not my favorite Ruth Ware I've ever read, but still definitely super enjoyable. Next, I have People We Meet on Vacation. I gave this book 4 stars. I enjoyed it, but not as much as Beach Read. This book was just pure slow burn. And I did not know that going into this book. So starting it and having things move so slowly kind of took me out of the book for a little bit. But overall, I did enjoy it. I liked the relationship, the entire concept. It was just very slow burn, and that's not what I was necessarily expecting after reading Beach Read. Then I read The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. I read this also in a vlog, I believe, and I rated this 5 stars. I really loved it. It's not a favorite, or it is a favorite, but not my most favorite, but I still super enjoyed it. It gave off all the creepy vibes of the camp, and it was just overall a very pleasant experience. I loved the twists and turns in this one. There was a lot of unpredictability, we have no idea what's going on sort of vibes, and I loved that. Next, I read The Deal by Elle Kennedy, and I gave this 5 stars. This was my first Elle Kennedy, and I still have not read another one, but I do want to get the rest of this series. Like I said, I gave it 5 stars. I really enjoyed the enemies. They're not really enemies, but they're kind of enemies to lovers. I loved the tension between the tutor and the jock. So overall, super pleasant experience, and I do want to reread it and tab it because I originally read it on my Kindle, but I read it so quick, so I super loved it. The next one I read was Confess, and I gave this 5 stars. This was also featured in quite a few. I really loved the overall story in this one. Sometimes Colleen Hoover books are a little bit more messy, and I felt this one was messy, but I also really enjoyed the entire concept of the book between the characters and how everything ended up weaving together. I really enjoyed it. And then the last book that I own and read was The Kiss Quotient, and I also gave this 5 stars. I loved the representation. I loved the overall connection between our 2 characters. I thought it was very well done, super entertaining, and then I went on to read the rest of the series, so that's a good sign. The next one that I read and do not own anymore is Darling by Kay Ankrum. I gave this book 3 stars. It was nothing super special for me. It was pretty much just okay. It's more of a retelling of Peter Pan, and the entire first half just kept me really confused. So I think that's what kind of kept me from rating it any higher. It was super interesting, like the entire concept of Peter Pan and what was actually happening in the book, but because the beginning took forever to explain things and you were really just kept in the dark, that kind of kept me from rating it any higher than a 3. The next one on this list that I unhauled was The Keeper of Night. This had lots of potential with a main character who's half human, half Shinigami, but overall I just felt like it didn't live up to what it could have lived up to. I felt like it had a lot of potential, but things got super messy, things stopped making sense, and then in the end everything kind of just got flipped on its head and just didn't make sense as to why that was a choice that was made. So I gave that 2 stars. The next one I read and unhauled might be a bit of an unpopular opinion, but that was Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. This is another one that I gave 2 stars. I didn't really care for this book. I felt like the entire time it was trying to be like The House in the Cerulean Sea and fell short incredibly. I absolutely loathed the ending. I didn't like the ending at all. I felt like the ending made the entire rest of the book not worth it, which some people have the exact opposite opinion. Overall, I liked The House of the Cerulean Sea, but I felt like Under the Whispering Door just didn't do it for me. Didn't care for the characters as much. It's fine. And then the last one I read but no longer own is My Dark Vanessa. I give this book 3 stars. Nothing really wrong with it. It just wasn't super for me. I felt like it could have packed a harder punch, but for some reason it just didn't for me. I felt like a lot of the conversations were very repetitive, and I also don't think the victim really learned much from the experience. I felt like in the end she was still sort of defending everything, and I wanted to see like her grow from that, but that wasn't exactly what we got, which is totally fine. I know a lot of people enjoyed it. I know a lot of people got a lot out of it, but that one just, it simply wasn't for me, which is completely fair. So that was a really quick rundown because I don't want to sit here forever talking about 12 books. That was just a really quick run through of the 12 books I did read. I do have 10 of the books here that I haven't read, so I'm gonna go ahead and list those if you forgot, and then we are going to make a very hard decision. We are going to keep 5 that I still want to read, and then we're going to unhaul 5 because if I have no desire to pick them up this year, then oh well. Okay, I'm gonna go a little easy on myself. I'm going to try to unhaul at least 3, but the goal is 5. So first we have Play It As It Lays, which I know literally nothing about, and if I'm being honest, I don't think I'm even going to like this book. My husband bought it for me because I think it was seen on the Netflix show called You, and he was like, oh well, you know, maybe you should read that. And it's not a long book by any means, so maybe one day I'll read it, but that's the only reason why I believe he got it for me. So we're going to keep it because I do want to read this book since my husband got it for me. So that's a keep. Then we have Fable by Adrienne Young. This one, I'm not entirely sure what it's about, but I absolutely loved her other series, Sky in the Deep with the Vikings. I don't know if this is also about Vikings. Oh wait, maybe they're like sailors. I'm not sure, but the reason why I picked this up was because I loved her other duology. So this will be in the maybe pile. The next book I have is The Perfect Wife by J.P. Delaney. I don't know much about this. I just know that it is a thriller, so... Oh, okay, well I've just read it, and it says that this is an amnesia trope. So we're gonna go ahead and unhaul this because I don't tend to like that, so I guess that will be an unhaul. Then we have Insurgent by Veronica Roth. I'm going to go ahead and keep this because Rylan super loves this series, and I super enjoyed the first book, and then I watched the first movie, and I don't know where it continues after that, so we're going to keep this. I do want to finish this series at some point, so this is a keep. Then I have Amy and Roger's Epic Detour by Morgan Matson. I read one Morgan Matson and really enjoyed it, so I was excited for this one. I believe this is like a road trip sort of vibe. Yes, so they're going from California to Connecticut. The only problem is, since her father died in a car accident, she wasn't ready to get behind the wheel, and that's where Roger comes in, an old family friend who offers to take the trip with her. Okay, this is a maybe. I feel like I could enjoy this, so we will see. Next we have Betrothed by KEKAILIFTS. So obviously I have a first signed edition. I got this from Beacon Book Box when they released their World of KEKAILIFTS box, because I loved the selection series, but I've heard horrible things about this. So I think I'm going to take the loss and I'm just not going to read it. So this will be an unhaul. Next, we have Rules for Vanishing by KEKAILIFTS Marshall. I'm going to automatically keep this. I do still want to read it. This is a multimedia sort of thing. There's like interviews, there's like a podcast, there's evidence, things like that. So this one does seem interesting. I just haven't gotten to the point where I pick it up, but I do still super want to read this one. And it's like a ghost story sort of vibe. So this is an automatic keep. Next, we have Fragments of the Lost by Megan Miranda. I believe I read one other Megan Miranda, and maybe it wasn't like my favorite, but I believe I picked this up because of Books of Lala. I think she read it and super enjoyed it. So this is like a thriller. Basically, this girl named Jessa, her ex-boyfriend passes away, so his mother asks her to pack up his things in her room. As she keeps boxing up things, they continue to trigger memories, and their life does not, or their relationship together does not end up how she originally thought it was. So each fragment of his life reveals a new clue that propels Jessa to search for the truth about Caleb's accident. So maybe it wasn't an accident. This will go on the maybe pile. Next we have Seeing Ghosts by Kat Chow. This is a memoir, not entirely sure that's all about all I could say, and it makes me sad. I was going to try to read this, but I have told myself that I need to stop forcing things upon myself that I know I'm not going to enjoy. So unfortunately I will be unhauling this. I do not think that nonfiction is really my thing, and I don't want to give it a bad rating just because this book wasn't for me, when I think that someone could probably enjoy it more than I will. So this will be an unhaul. And then the last book I have here is Of Fires and Stars. I don't know much about this. I believe it is a sapphic romance, possibly a duology, not entirely sure on that. I think I mainly picked it up because it is sapphic, but I'm not in a fantasy era, so we're gonna go ahead and unhaul this. So the three that I for sure kept are Rules for Vanishing, Insurgent, and Play It As It Lays. The four that I'm going to be unhauling is The Perfect Wife, The Betrothed, Seeing Ghosts, and Of Fire and Stars. And then my three maybes are Fable, A.B. and Rogers' Epic Detour, and Fragments of the Lost. I do think I'm going to keep the Megan Miranda because I think the last book I read from her was like a 3.5, 4 stars, and I know Books and Lala really love this. So I feel like it has a lot of potential. See, I don't know if I'm in my YA era anymore, so I'm not sure how we're going to go here. Okay, I think I'm going to keep Fable because I already know. No, I think I'm going to unhaul Fable because I usually listen to Adrienne Young's books on audio, so I don't necessarily need to have this book. So I think we're going to unhaul this, and we're going to keep Amy and Roger's Epic Detour, as I want to read it and see if I'm still a romance, YA romance girl. So that is it. So these are the 5 that I'm going to keep that I have not read from my list, and here are the 5 that I've chosen to unhaul. And I'm sad, but it must be done. So that is it from me today. I hope you enjoyed. You can like, comment, and subscribe down below. If you would like all of my shows, just follow me anywhere else, and anything that was mentioned is linked down below as always. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!